Hi guys, this is Claudia with Knitters and Critters, and I am giving you the weekly update. So, first of all, went to see the Dungeons and Dragons movie, and it's so much fun. You guys should definitely go see it. It has enough D&D stuff that people who play it will be like, "Oh, yeah, I get that. That's a cool reference, blah blah blah." And at the same time, if you don't play D&D, you'll still get all the jokes. It's really funny. We were laughing. My husband and my oldest have seen it twice already, and I wouldn't mind going to see it again. And I'm very, I wouldn't say anti going to the movies, but usually I will be like, you know what, I can wait until it comes out on streaming somewhere. It was a lot of fun, and yeah, I totally recommend it. It was worth going to the theater. Now, as far as knitting goes, I am wearing my Julie's Scrappy Sweater by Knit Tricot, and it's perfect. I mean, it turned out exactly like I wanted it to. It's oversized. I made it elbow length at the sleeves, and it's very comfortable. I made it long enough that I can wear it with leggings, so that totally works for my spring wardrobe uh, situation. I knit this with 3 strands of yarn, of sock yarn together. I went through a lot of my leftovers and itty bitties, and right now I just have a progress keeper holding the opening together. Probably it's going to be a toggle closure and very natural. I mean, there's so much color in this sweater that um, just something very neutral. I took my first class for designing your own Fair Isle cowl at Cream City Yarn, and I had a blast. I really miss that social aspect of knitting, and I combined a few charts together, and I think I know what I want the design to be, but I'm not 100% sure. So I think I will decide that in the next class. I will print out, I did it on Google Sheets because I'm a nerd, and just kind of color the background according to the yarns I have, and color the little cells. And I think I'm pretty sure that's what I want to do, but I will show Kate, who is excellent at feral knitting, and I'm sure that if she gives it a couple of adjustments, even better. I did start the ribbing because, you just, and this is the color that I decided on for the ribbing. It's called khaki. It's a khaki mix, Heather. And it does have some green in it, but it doesn't really read as green. It's mostly gray. Um, the yarns that I chose are going to be neutrals for the background, and they're going to be like plummy and like charcoal for the actual designs on them. So there will be contrast, and you will be able to see the designs pretty clearly. But since I'm not purchasing any yarn, I wanted to do something else that wouldn't interfere with that general color palette. So I chose this, and I think it'll work really well. My son has senioritis and I have castonitis because I not only cast that on, but also, okay. So this is going to be, I have it in a Court of Thorns and Roses bag from Fate's Thread. Fate's Thread is amazing. She has like just about any fandom you can think of. So I cast on the Dark Academia sweater. I haven't gotten very far. This is just the ribbing part. I have two of these, and I am going to make it a short sleeve um, top because I know I don't have enough for long sleeves. And this is Joshua Tree National Park from Explorer Knits and Fibers. Allie has amazing colorways, so good. And I have two of those. And then for the color work, I was originally going to do a green because this has a lot of green in it, but I'm using that green for my Knitters and Critters make-along socks that I'm going to make. So that's sort of been reserved for that project. But this also has, you can't really see it. You might be able to see it. It has some lovely purples as well. So I'm going with this. It's not going to be super high contrast, and I sort of prefer that. It looks more vintagey when it's lower contrast, and I like that. So I am hoping that it'll catch some of the purple. I don't have a lot of this, so I'm not sure how much of the color work I'm going to be able to add, but this is definitely my year of using up my stash and no buying. So I am sticking to that, and the pattern is pretty much the entire garment. And I think I'll be okay with only doing as much as I can of the color work and just doing the rest plain because the yarn, is variegated, so it has enough interest on its own that I think it's going to be fine. This is again from Fate's Thread, my D&D project bag. I've had this forever, and this is where I am storing my yarn for my cleric socks by Disyarning. Harper has an amazing choose your own adventure sock pattern where you can make socks for a variety of sizes, a variety of foot shapes, calf shapes. So I chose a cleric because that is right now the character that I am playing the most. Kenzie is my cleric, and she is a follower of Shantia, whose colors are yellow and green. So those are going to be the colors that I use for my socks. I haven't cast on for this yet, but I will be joining Alicia Plummer's, Stitches and Stories knit along. And she has 3 bibliophile patterns, they're garments, different weights, different shapes, and you also get to read a book along. And I think she's going to choose the book that I voted for. I'm not sure, and I'm not going to say what it is in case she doesn't. But it's a really interesting book because it's the story of this woman from, I believe, Renaissance Italy. And I did create a character based on her, and we just never got to play that game. But whatever the next game that we start is, I am going to use that character. And she's an apothecary, and she also does some other stuff. And yeah, it's a real life story of a woman, and this book is sort of inspired by sort of the greater brush strokes of this woman's life. So I hope that's the book that gets chosen because I'm very excited about reading it. And I think that is it. Oh, I do have one more thing, and it is right behind me. So I wore this top the other day when I went to vote on Tuesday, and I kept tugging at it, like tugging it lower. And what that tells me is that it's too short for me, because when a garment fits you well, you're not fidgeting with it all the time. So I decided to add a couple of inches. I think it ended up being like 3.5 inches of a crocheted border to the bottom. And then I only had like about half the skein left, and I decided to add some more to the sleeves to sort of uh, just make it a little more cohesive. And I did have a skein that isn't the same as the color work, but it has sort of the same colors, the aquas and the greens. So I think it works. So the finished top had just roll edge sleeves, which is not my favorite, but at the time I made it and that was fine. I didn't have any more of the main color, which is Knit Picks Palette and Turmeric, which is one of my favorite colors that they have. And this is a spin cycle colorway that I used, but I did have something in similar colors that I used. I just put a bunch of different crocheted stitches together and I added 3.5 inches, and I think it. Now I am not going to be fidgeting with it, which will make me a lot more comfortable, and I will wear this top more often, which is the whole point of making things. The boys and I are planning on going to see Super Mario at some point, and I love my children, which is why I will sit through that movie. Not a total fan of Chris Pratt. Just no. Anyway, so I hope you guys have a great weekend. Happy Easter to those who celebrated. Blessed Ostara to those who celebrate that. And happy Sunday if you don't celebrate any of the above. Stay safe out there, and I will see you next week. Bye.